All right, I work at Sarah's Den. It's a nonprofit organization inspired by the memory of a woman named Sarah Lee Pulliam. Sarah's Den strives to create a safe and welcome spot where everyone feels heard and valued. It's also known as the Unique Resource Center, or URC, which provides clothing for anyone who walks in. It also will give food to anyone who asks for it. They'd eventually like to include a shelter as well. As for where it gets its funding, it gets it through donations and the clothing it sells, though it also gets money from the PICF organization. It's where it gets the majority of its funding, and the organization helps with foster kids. This is how it is able to stay open despite it being a nonprofit organization. Moving on to what I've learned about the community. While Sarah's Den is located in downtown Richmond and gets the majority of its clientele there, they do get clients from other places in Greater Richmond and occasionally beyond that. I learned that through asking the other staff, but I also learned other things through simple observation. I learned that the people are quite friendly on average, and they're typically very religious. I also learned that they have a very common tendency to appreciate the little things in life, which might sound strange, but it is actually different from where I used to work. Current social justice issues impacting clients and the agency. All right, there are plenty of social justice issues that affect Sarah's Den clientele, such as minimum wage being too low, rent being too high, and Medicaid continuously being very hard to access. All these factors can change whether or not Sarah gets clients or doesn't get them, change who walks into the store. But there are also factors like access to resource that affect Sarah's Den directly. If a government policy changes something, it could change what resources Sarah's Den has access to. As for historical context of social justice issues, historically one issue in Richmond has been segregation. For much of the 20th century, laws and policies enforced racial segregation in housing, education, and public service. These discriminatory practices have contributed to poverty and limited opportunities for people of color. These are both issues Sarah's Den seeks to counter. Similarly, displacement also occurred, which sought out changing black neighborhoods and inevitably push people away from the resources they need. This is also a problem that Sarah's Den seeks to correct. Moving on to current policy discussions, a particular local conversation I found emphasizes creating or funding existing community resource centers like Sarah's Den. This would create both immediate and long-term economic opportunities. There are also the many existing discussions like healthcare, minimum wage increase, and housing programs that have been going on for a while, and these would also affect Sarah's Den. Moving on to the jobs of my fellow colleagues, there are also Tanya and Ray, as well as the one other intern coming from VCU. Tanya acts as the CEO and has a background in social work. Ray is employed as a coach and has a background in criminal justice. He's a coach for another organization Tanya owns, but will help out here. Though Tanya is the CEO, both her and Ray have worked pretty much every position within the organization because there aren't many staff. They've worked anything from a cashier to managing the books. Finally, for what I would like to learn more about, I would mainly like to learn more about some of the policies that more directly would affect Sarah's Den, as most of the policies that affected them somewhat indirectly. And that's it.